All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Beastars Season 2, Episode 4. Winnie the Pooh is creeping up on Legoshi. Because it's definitely the bear.
It makes sense for it to be the bear.
Yes.
The bear was the only character that felt out of place in the previous episode because
In the previous season.
Well,
like,
yeah, but if anything, it was just a thing of where we're like, oh, I guess he's getting saved as a character for later.
And you're being treated as a character that's always been there, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But now he's just casually in the Carnivore group talking, and we're like, wait, but you never spoke at all in the first season. So what's the deal, man?
So the deal is that it was an accident. He didn't mean to eat Tim, right? And after he did, feasted on his flesh, and then he was just like, oh, bother.
No, it's oh bother.
And now
Piglet just like why, Pooh?
Honey wasn't enough. I crave more. Oh my God. But yeah, hopefully this goes well, and that, you know, it's more of a thing of like, hey, you know, I'm not actually trying to kill you or anything. It's more like, I need help.
Help
like,
me. Yeah. I think that there's a possibility that he also just knows something.
Sure.
And he's like, I want to help.
I know what goat tastes like, or alpaca, or whatever Tim was.
Well, I think, yeah. But there's a very real possibility that this is a debate, and it's just something where, you know, carnivores look scary in the dark and what have you.
Right. No one lets a
like,
snitch. You know. Yeah. All right. I didn't want to, you know, say, but all right. Yeah. Here's the sitch.
Yeah. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. Oh, this is a really good episode.
This is fantastic.
Great
Love
start.
Yep.
We have no idea who that was there in the dark. It very well could have been the bear, although the size of the shoe made it feel to me like it could have been an adult.
I do love the idea of it being an adult, because then if, like, you know, even if the bear was the one who did the eating or anything like that, but just the idea of an adult doing something, so because it helps keep the herbivores in power and things like that, like that could get really crazy, especially if this story is wanting to go societal. Which, given the fact that when he showed up, it was very much I show up and I'm probably going to kill you, right? Like,
yeah, that was actually the part that weirded me out. Didn't you get the vibe that this was someone who basically had a very, very calm, like very measured response to this?
Yeah, actually,
I feel like there's some psychological things we can glean from this.
Okay.
They didn't actually want to kill Legoshi.
Right, because they never actually used their claws and teeth and things like that.
Yep. So they were trying to basically say, back off.
Right.
Which is why I think it's primarily an adult. If it was a student, they would have been maybe too scared to basically have it be done in such a measured way. Like, it'd be way more flailing and, like, you know, like...
Sure.
Like, you know, a bit more raw, you know?
Well, and one of the other issues...
It might have been just a devouring then.
Well, and it might have been just a devouring, but then also you have to realize that Legoshi's a wolf. Mm-hmm. You couldn't count on the fact that he had a cold that day. Mm-hmm. By showing up, even if you blindfold him, which
no, it's because of how cold. Oh, he had a cold. Gotcha.
Right. I think that's what it was. Yeah, because he was sneezing. But,
yeah, you're right.
But even if like, even with the cold and everything, if you're not planning on killing him, tie his hands behind his back, because Legoshi could have just done this, you know, and pulled up the blindfold.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it would have taken. Yeah. So what that does communicate to me is that there is a very good possibility that either it is an adult, and if he does, like, if he sees him, it doesn't matter because they're not at the school or anything. So so you won't be able to get any information, you know, or if anything, you might be able to get information by the negative, but Legoshi might not be able to think that far ahead, or that the person is not thinking this through. Right.
Yeah, that is another possibility.
Because if you do something like that, if you go to reveal yourself, like, the killer doesn't know that Legoshi has... Well, no, the killer... If the killer is one of the people in the drama club, he would know that Legoshi was suspicious of people in the drama club because he mentioned that to the other carnivores. And they were all pissed about that. Because... But... And so that makes a bit more sense of why it wouldn't be as big of a deal to say back off, because if he's already that close, then it might be a thing of, I don't care if you actually know who I am. It's the don't dig into this anymore or I will end you.
Yeah.
Because if not for the fact that he knew that the person was in the drama club, doing this that's giving way too much information for who it might be.
Yeah. I think what happened is that this person was going to beat the crap out of Legoshi to the point where he was scared. Because this person, at the very least, probably thinks, well, Legoshi's a student. After a certain point, he's going to get just so scared out of all of this that,
and especially
he'll back off.
If they're a bear, if they're the bear, like bears, nothing hunts bears, So
right. He's top of the food chain in terms of a predator.
So he wouldn't be worried about a wolf.
Totally.
And it would make sense why he would then have underestimated Legoshi, in that he wasn't easily intimidated by, the shows of force and things like that.
I totally am with you with that, except for the fact that we actually got to now have that little bit of time with the bear talking and stuff, and he seemed so sensitive and so, just kind of...
But that could be the pills that he takes.
Okay.
To keep him calm.
Okay. But this person that was beating the crap out of Legoshi was not frenzied. I'll just say that.
No, this was cool and calculated.
They were very calculated, but not only that, they knew how to fight, really.
Okay. I could see it being more like brawly, kind of like...
I'll go back to it, but it seemed to me like this person very much knew how to quickly keep Legoshi from regaining his composure here.
Well, he got the jump on him, which is really helpful, and then once you're tied up and blindfolded and things like that, definitely helps. If anything, a gag would have been really nice, but...
Yeah, I'm guessing that if it is a student, the way the hands are tied is proof of that. That's a hint towards that.
Sure.
And then the other bit is that Legoshi came back to consciousness rather quickly then, because he wasn't able to do that much to Legoshi.
Right.
Oh no, he did move Legoshi.
Yes.
He moved him away from that spot.
Probably to a place where it's like, okay,
where
you're out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah, which is interesting then, because in a lot of ways, why didn't Legoshi scream for help or anything like that?
Yeah, and why wouldn't the person have been afraid of that happening? Like Legoshi was very comfortable sort of with what was happening, but the person wouldn't have wanted to expect that. He intentionally was wanting to make Legoshi scared, unless it's someone else that had some other ulterior motive. But yeah, Legoshi could have just been like, okay, I'm a wolf, I'll start howling. And if it's
a whole ruckus,
and if it's randomly cut off like that, at the very
least, Legoshi's
least,
the one tied up and bloody already from getting beaten up here. He's not going to look like he's the predator in this case.
Exactly. If the school hears a wolf howling outside of the dorms at night, they are probably going to be
sus.
They're going to be afraid that there's some kind of devouring probably happening, right? Because they would have the regulated spaces for the
wolf
carnivores,
stuff.
For wolf stuff, right? So,
it could be a little bit of just a hiccup in the plot to have him not be gagged.
Sure.
But it might also be
the not lifting the blindfold.
Well, that, yeah. But one of the things that might just be a thing here is that this is a student, and they're just not that smart.
Sure.
And this is just a panicked thing here.
Right.
And then once let's go with it. It is the bear.
All right.
The bear panics because Legoshi is investigating.
Right, and he's close.
And he's very close.
Down to the drama club,
And Carnivore's in the drama club.
Right, there were only 9 of them in their meeting.
Right.
Especially after this encounter, it's either the bear or Bill if it's someone in the drama club.
Yeah, and there's also an idea that if this was one of them, there's a very real possibility all he has to do is try and figure out who was friendly enough with Tem.
Sure.
That they could actually spend time together at night.
Well, and hell, he also had the feeling of the fur, and taste of blood might not be something you can replicate so easily, but
that's something that happened after the fight, basically.
Oh, yes.
I'm talking about what made the bear come here. Right. The bear.
Yes.
I would say that the main reason is that he just panicked.
Yep.
And he's making a mistake doing this. So
Right.
he like quickly ties him up and blindfolds him, but he's like, shit, I don't know what to do here, so I'm going to beat him up and stuff.
Right.
But if that's the case, all these other things, like, you know, not gagging him and stuff, not trying to kill him, not doing anything like that, means that there's maybe an emotional there's something emotional going on here as well, where the attacker isn't thinking straight.
Right.
And that could be because it's a thing of, well, no, I like Legoshi. I don't want to hurt him or kill him or anything like that. But just to go back on the adult theory here, there's a possibility that this could be a thing of where it's just like, I actually don't care the way this blows up or anything. This just makes it more of an incident. This draws more attention to the fact that there's some kind of problem at Cherryton High School.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
and since they brought in a lot of the more politics side of things in this season, like very early on,
yes,
with like, the new Beastar and the pressure being put on Cherryton High School to perform, and
we're going much more societal.
It feels much more like the conflict is bigger, and thus I kind of almost want it to be a thing where if it's the bear, then it's like, okay, that's kind of a closed potential dead end.
Right. Pun intended with Louis. We don't want the buck to stop with the bear.
Exactly. But if it is the bear, there could be a thing going on where the bear leads to then the stuff that was whatever those drugs were at the end of season 1.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that could very well be the general societal tie-in.
Exactly.
And
that's why our working theory up till now was that it would be more of a conversation and more of like this wasn't supposed to happen kind of a thing, rather than like just a straight up devouring and now he's coming to silence at Legoshi or whatever.
Right. That's why I feel like this could be an adult.
Right.
Is that it doesn't make sense necessarily if this was an accident with Tem to have someone then come in who did the thing as an accident and be like, stop doing that.
Right.
It's like, oh, wow, that would be a really panicked, scared student.
Yeah.
And then the way that they fought also doesn't feel necessarily like a scared student.
Right. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, and if they are a scared student, it's a scared student that's not giving in to their instincts, but they're defending their acts of instincts.
Right,
and,
right. So it's like, all kinds of messy and mixed up, which is why I'm pretty sure that if it's the bear, something really weird is going on. But I am also like gonna hold out that it probably could be an adult too.
Yeah, one of the things that I was kind of curious about is when Legoshi then gets the idea of, oh, I'm going to go to Goheen. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's
exactly what we want.
That's a great idea. Like ideally, I would have wanted, this is me. I would have wanted him to like have it be reported as an attack, and then I'm leaving for my own safety, kind of a thing, But whatever. But then he's going to Goheen. It's like, all right, this is where he'll be able to learn some good stuff. And he specifically says, I want you to teach me how to fight.
Right.
Now I get why, because he got bear handled by this person, right? You know. So that is something that would be very helpful in thinking back onto their attack on the Leo group and everything. Legoshi had no idea what he was doing, right?
No idea.
Goheen is the only reason that he's alive today. Well, no, he's the main reason. But then you also have Louis and things like that,
covered his ass without even him knowing it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you'll want to know how to do more than just punch people or throw them down staircases.
Or have to bite them, necessarily.
Well, but even then, that was something that he didn't do in the situation with the Leo group, right? So the fact that I actually saw that as progress, right? That he was willing to actually bite down on his attacker, right?
Lean into his carnivore strength.
Right? And it's like, okay, if we go societal and this really progresses, then it makes sense that Legoshi would want to know how to fight, because that will probably be his place in whatever societal changes happen, Yeah,
because like he said, his strength is not for making himself happy.
Right, which is not true, Legoshi. Which
is not true at all, Legoshi.
And that's an example of the same reason why you and Haru aren't dating yet, right? Because you do things like that. You
got to mature a little bit.
You got to mature, right? And it's the thing of I have all the best hopes and wishes for you, but you're being a bit of a baka, and you're going to need to figure things out. And I'm curious to see how Goheen's going to handle this, because his response is, I'm not going to train you. I'm going to lock you up in my chair and then come at you with a sickle. And it's like...
Probably to basically test his ability to remain calm under pressure.
Sure.
Which I actually...
Legoshi seems to be pretty good at so far.
He seems to be very good at. In fact, that's the thing of where I think he's going to impress Goheen. Because that's the thing that, well, he showed here.
Yeah.
He was like, I need to use my sense of taste and touch.
Right.
So I'll be able to identify who this is. While he's getting the shit kicked out of him, beaten out of him, his head was smashed against a pillar. Like Goshi was a bloodied mess after that. Like, Goheen probably did smell his blood coming from his wounds. He's like, oh, I remember that wolf. Oh, that dumb wolf's here.
Like, there was even a point where they colored his face. Like, you know, I love what they do in this show when Legoshi isn't able to see, right? And he's relying on like his sense of smell and things like that, right? It's good stuff.
And it's so muted here.
Yeah. But they had
really cool.
red show up around his snout and his head and things like that.
It's easier for him to smell that because it's really close, probably.
Oh, sure. That's a great.
And also, he's probably touching it. He can just feel it on him.
Sure, right. And I wasn't entirely sure whether that was actually supposed to be blood or just the blunt trauma. The meat is raw around those parts, you know.
But then we see it after when Jack shows up, and his face here is that cool, like anime protagonist, eyes are covered in blood kind of thing.
And while this isn't an action show, and that's not why I particularly enjoy this show. So I hope it doesn't go like lean too hard into that. Like I mean,
it can only do so much.
It can only do so much. I want to see more stuff with Hara and things like that. But that was great, and it led into that conversation with Jack, which oh my god. That was good.
My boy Jack. Jack is the side character that I love astronomically more than in some ways I even should.
This guy,
I have made his picture my avatar profile pic on Discord
ever since he was introduced.
Yeah, I love the way he's.
Just golden retriever, like, you know, good doggo.
Yeah, I love the way he moves. I love the way he emotes. I love the way they use his tail and his ears and everything. He is probably my favorite character to watch emote or move in this entire freaking show. There are so many little moments. And then the fact that they went all out and showed him doing the whole... I'm covering my eyes, I'm holding my face, I'm wiping my tears, and I'm almost like scratching my head in nervousness when he's just like, I can't do this with you, I can't, and yet he wants to. It's the idea of when he feels the pain of this situation empathically, and also just for his friend. But he also has to look at him with just the knowledge that he's getting farther and farther away. And you can very easily understand what's going on through Jack's head. But just the way he's shown, just feeling it, it's just
this is the kind of response I would expect if you had a dog, you know, that was like your pet for a very long time, and then you had to tell it, sorry, I'm in trouble. I'm going to have to leave you and not see you for a while, like for potentially a long while. And if the dog could speak, it'd be like, wait, but not forever, right? And you're like, well, I don't know. And its world just
kills you,
just falling apart. Yeah. Yeah.
So then he goes to the dark market, gets in contact with Goheen.
Yep.
Goheen drops a bit of exposition about the Leo group advancing, which we then understand later in the second half of the episode.
Indeed.
But he kind of brings up the idea that, well, you actually have a lot of things going for you, but I don't want to do this with you because this is not what I do. I am not the one that that does this. I'm the psychotherapist for this area here. I can't have you and your powder keg. What does he call him? Time bomb? Like,
he called him a powder keg. I think he got it. He
said something like that. But it was. I think it was bomb or something like that. Oh, he did say powder keg. Powder keg. Yeah. And it's just like. He's like, what? Me? It's like, you took down the Leo group.
Yeah, it's like...
I helped you.
But that's kind of a big deal, Legoshi.
You changed things around here because you kind of act without thinking at times.
Yep.
And Legoshi's like, what, me? And I'm like...
And then he brings out the sickle and is like, all right, let me teach you a lesson.
Yeah.
And then we do a hard cut to...
Another scared
animal.
Yeah.
Cosmo, okay, all right. We got strip club and everything like that, and just more things of people being like, oh my god, Beastars is a furry show. No, stop.
Hey, it's the world of adults here, and
that's right.
Louis has left the world of children, basically, and they bring up the idea of, hey, we are in a carnivore, just generally, environment here, and thus most of the dancers, in fact, all but one of them, are carnivores.
Because they don't want to get eaten. Yeah.
Right. But the funny thing about that is that, well, don't you find that it's like kind of an interesting thing that, I mean, this is something I've always found rather interesting, but there's no entirely like specific reason, as far as I know, that carnivores only find the meat of herbivores tasty.
Nope.
It's just the idea that it's a much easier kill to go after not another tiger or another lion, and instead go after a gazelle or a deer of some kind here.
Right. Yep.
And thus, I find the idea of their appetites being, their lust and then their hunger, both being like satisfied in this really like duo way. I just that's trippy.
Like I don't doubt at all that would very much be a thing. Like it feels like it's one of those things where it's a bit of world building, right? And it's choice for the world, and yet I absolutely buy it. It feels like a natural extension of just generally like, kinks that you would have in our regular society. But if you had things of, carnivores and herbivores and things like that, then naturally you would want to, if you're going to be fantasizing about all sorts of things while staring at somebody, and you also want to eat things, then why not put both in one? Like, like that does seem like it would be the most I don't know, potent yeah
for these carnivores here. But bring up another kind of interesting bit here that I find rather curious. So this this little guy here,
right,
is definitely a carnivore.
Definitely a carnivore by the teeth, but he's a little one.
He's a little guy. He's a little guy.
Yep.
But you can see the scars over his eyes there. He's like, yeah, I've had to deal with some shit,
Yep.
But the idea of, in this world here, they put up the bars because while in society in general,
we're in the dark market.
Yeah, they are, chastised for showing their fangs and claws. They still here have that thing of, no showing fangs or claws. We have rules here. And in fact, we even protect you from yourselves by ignoring not just that the fact that the rules are going to be followed. We're going to put bars up.
Yep.
Because we don't trust you guys to be able to even handle yourselves with that. It's like, that's...
In a lot of ways, that almost... So I get the feeling Cosmo would have had less likelihood of there being an issue if the bars had never gone up in the first place than if the bars were suddenly dropped. Because...
I disagree entirely. I disagree entirely.
So here's why I think it would be different. Now, while I'm sure that in the outlier situation, which is the only thing you're really worried about, there would be the carnivores that would just be like, I don't care if there's bars or not,
Right.
Or like,
but they're not a part of the discussion, really. It's about whether there would be an issue where she could actually be in danger. And the bars probably are good enough to where they would keep any carnivore out.
Oh no, yeah. No, but I'm saying the outliers are all that really matters from the situation of whether she would be in danger once the bars are down, because it's the most extreme, like extreme carnivores that would be wanting to feed and stuff.
And that's because there was an incident that happened apparently before Cosmo, where he said, I'm not letting another dancer get killed by a frenzied customer.
But I will say, I'll bet that there would actually be some of the carnivores that might even prefer it with the bars up, because if there is some part of them that's like, well, hold on, I probably shouldn't actually eat the person, the dancer, then
that's a bad idea.
That might be a bad idea. Hold on, settle down now.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
Then they might even like having the bars up more, because then they don't have to hold anything back in how invested they can get in ogling this lady, basically, because they know that there is nothing that they don't have to worry about any direct repercussions.
Yeah, I got you, but that still has almost. I get what you're getting at in that the transition from the bars going down was the real problem, not whether they were up there at all. Once they went down, there was a tiger that couldn't hold himself back,
right?
Because
or just chose not to,
or just chose not to, exactly. But the fact that this happened before shows that the bars were a thing that was added later once this had already been a problem. But what I liked about this was that there was no, as far as I should go back, before I say anything, I should check to see if they actually said this here.
No bars when the cheetah was dancing, or or whatever animal she is. She doesn't have spikes.
I don't want to see another one of my dancers get eaten by a frenzied customer. He didn't say herbivore.
I'm guessing it was a herbivore.
Okay.
Because they didn't put the bars up for the other dancer.
Yes, you're probably right. I just thought it was kind of a cool omission, and then he decided not to say specifically one of my herbivore dancers,
right? Because,
well, he's focusing on the cheetah, the tigress kind of dancer here. So what if there's a possibility of where it's also the special treatment kind of thing? Where it's actually more of a play into the jealousy? No protection for the tigress.
You can defend yourself. If someone actually does decide to try and eat you, just bite their dick off or something. You know,
you're not as desired, so you're not necessarily worth the awkward thing of, protection because, just because there's no desire for as much carnal, carnivorous, desire and stuff.
Right.
There can still be violence that happens that has nothing to do with hunger.
That could be a whole separate kink, like it, of the if I were to eat something, I'd want them to be able to fight back.
Totally. I feel like this is something that isn't as close and as shut and closed as just I'm not letting one of my my dancers get attacked or get eaten. Well, they say literally get eaten. Yeah, so I'm guessing that it was a herbivore. But I also find it interesting in general that the only one that gets protected is the herbivore just because, she's a herbivore.
Well, and the inequality of society, right?
Right, but then also when she ends up having the moment where she nearly gets eaten, and she's like, oh, well, I guess today's the day. And then Louis comes in and basically saves her.
Right.
But then she says, I hate the most isn't the carnivores who want to eat me, but it's the carnivores who pity me and herbivores who come to mock me.
Yeah.
Isn't in some ways the boss kind of a little bit protect isn't pitying in any way.
No, that's
but
you don't pity the tightrope walker by putting a net underneath.
No, of course not. But the ground doesn't have will, Jacob. Gravity doesn't have will. There's a difference between right. Yeah. I just find it interesting. If this is her mentality, it's almost like she wants the bars down.
Yes, because
that's a part of the pitying in some way.
Well, yeah, it's the this actually weirdly enough this feels like a since we're getting into the whole topic of stripping in the overlap between the sexual desires and the carnivorous desires and things like that, right?
Yeah,
and stuff, right? This very much feels like a her situation feels almost like a I don't know, like a power bottom situation or something where it's the you think that I'm in this cage here, right? Right. But actually,
you're the ones in the cage.
You're all the ones in the cage, and I'm the one in the position of power, right?
Right.
And maybe that's why she wanted the cage removed, because she wanted to be able to prove to them that I have the power that much as it is, that I don't need this cage, right?
But then almost immediately after the cage goes down, she nearly dies.
Right. She nearly dies. Yeah. So
right. So in some ways there's the frustrating confusion of, well, I like the position of power that this gives me. I like it a lot. In some ways she's very similar to Louis.
Sure.
except she wasn't born in a position where the beings around her are going to naturally fear her or give her that kind of respect or awe, unless she's doing something like this, where she then gets all the eyes ogling her, and she's just like, yeah, I am powerful. I am, bow before me. Yeah, exactly.
Salivate and stay and sit.
Exactly. And you're not getting any of this. So that's something that she likes, so she keeps doing it. But then she ends up in a situation where another herbivore comes in and almost immediately assumes that he's coming to mock her in some way. But what I find rather interesting is that he doesn't apologize or anything. He kind of just ignores her, and she only really does a double take when the lion calls him boss.
And she's
because
like, wait.
I think what she did there was she acknowledged that, wait a minute, he's in a position of power over carnivores, and yet he's a herbivore. That's what I've wanted.
Right. And
I didn't necessarily want it to be in any specific form. I just wanted that kind of respect.
And something that I was wondering once they introduced her, and especially when Louis came in and saved her, was she... So, in Daredevil, the what's her name? The girl that's the wife of Kingpin.
Yeah.
There was a part of me that was wondering if she was going to fulfill a similar role. Of that, okay, she's she's also a deer, right? She's in the dark market and things like that. She understands the power dynamic. Yeah, exactly. Getting them all fawning over her. And then along comes this deer who is in even more of a position of power than she originally saw herself to be.
Yeah.
That's regardless of what kind of attraction you call it, that is attractive.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't be surprised if it went in a direction like that. Also, I want to point out, I think I might have been right about the fresh cheetah, because if you look at the stakes, there's little bits that look like they might have come off the legs.
Yeah, the part that is the most potentially worrisome with that here.
Oh wait, no, there's the almost rib looking things coming off to the side. I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah, is that Louis kind of says, I guess you can find carnivores like you anywhere. Basically saying that the
cheetah,
kind of did this and stuff out of spite.
Right.
But I don't think that they would have her turned over just for the sake of thanking the Leo group for dealing with this. That seems like a really fucked up kind of payment. And since the episode never gave any direct kind of confirmation as to what they were eating, because all it was said was that they had something this good to eat. So they could have given some kind of a hint there by having...
if it was, I feel like they would
have been the part to drop something.
Unless the one, because the fact that they didn't say anything about it specifically makes me think that either most likely it's not actually the cheetah girl, or that it was, and for censoring reasons they don't actually explicitly say it.
I don't think this show really cares about that.
Yeah, no. I
think it's more actually concerned with furry boobs being
right. Censorship is weird with anime and things like that, because you have things like Gohin's machine gun getting censored to a bamboo crossbow.
Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Apparently, it was a machine gun in the manga.
Yeah, people in the Discord passed that along a long time ago.
Can't have good guys with guns or automatic weapons specific. I don't know.
Whatever.
Right. But then you have things like, what they're doing is kind of cannibalism. Sort of, or at least, it gets weird for Louis. It's the question of what is it?
Because he's already eaten
the
deer. That was deer meat, remember? With the whole
That's right.
Yeah. So I don't think it has anything to do with that.
And
but yeah, I wanted to kind of move on a little bit just to this whole thing with the other lion.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you wanted to bring up on
just the idea that the show has yet to broach the topic explicitly of carnivores eating other carnivores.
Yes.
And that's something that I'm curious to see what decision is made with that.
Yeah. Okay, so Lion here is like, hey, I stood up for you to become a member of the Leo group, and that's also our leader. So I'm responsible for you, and you are getting thinner, and I could tell, like the way they were showing him, he looked very thin. And then he's like, hey, just eat this. And Louis is so proud. He's worried that this is some kind of game.
Test of weakness, yeah.
Yeah, test of weakness or something to make him do this. And he's just like, no.
Yeah.
Actually, like...
Uh-huh.
No, I need you. You're helping us a lot, so don't die. Eat this.
Right.
And then what I also love about this is the other lion comes in, and you're worried, like, oh, he's going to see the vegetables. He doesn't even care. He's just like, oh, there's a young wolf out front. So it's almost like there's this thing of where he's like, oh, we're giving him vegetables now? Okay, cool. Yeah, whatever.
This reminds me, now this is a much more
I know
serious
exactly
situation.
what you're thinking.
No, Stardust. Yes, Stardust. With Captain Shakespeare. Because now, it doesn't have to be that situation exactly, but it would be wonderful. I love the whole idea of this, at the very least, this one lion who's the wholesome lion that is concerned for Louis' well-being and whatnot, right? But if it turns out to be a thing where all the other lions are like, no, dude, we know that you gotta, like, eat vegetables and shit because this isn't good for you. We are just impressed as all get out that, holy fuck, dude, you actually do it. You ate deer. Like, regardless of whether you're able to actually keep it down, regardless of whether your digestive system is able to process it and sustains you or whatnot.
We can smell that puke. Like,
it's
like, not like
it's not.
We're animals. We can smell that kind of stuff. Like, it's not some big surprise that, oh no, he goes out into the other room every once in a while and
especially when it's freshly cooked meat. Like we know where that shit is, and it's not, it's in the trash can over there. Like I would love that. That would be great.
Yeah.
But even if it is just the one lion who's like, no, I got you, bro.
I got you, bro. Yeah.
You're like, that would be awesome.
Juno shows up, though, to Louis and knows he's in there, knows he's a member, at least, of the Leo group, but she needs his help with something. Now, the question is, 1, how does she know Louis is here? 2, why is she here?
Yeah, so for the first one, I think it's because she's got a good head on her shoulders. She notices when Legoshi went away and that there was that whole situation with the Leo group and everything, and that Louis also went away around that time, and he didn't come back, so 2 and 2, pretty easy to put them together. And then if the news on the street gets out of, oh yeah, the Leo group is under new management and they're doing pretty well, like, she might be able to figure that out. But then, as far as why she would be here...
Yeah.
That's curious. Because
that's very curious.
So you mentioned the whole idea that she might be actually trying to find Legoshi.
Yeah, and that, Jack just basically came to her at some point.
And she at the very least cared about Legoshi, might still, and Louis,
she does.
Right, and she knows that they were close, so what's the situation there. The only thing that I want to say is just for like making sure it's said is that it could also be something with regards to the whole Beastar situation. I think that's a lot weaker of a potential possibility, but that was their previous connecting point, is that they were both going for Beastar, and if Louis gone and Juno is theoretically the next running candidate, but the thing didn't work out with Legoshi, so who knows? I don't know. Maybe that situation's complicated. That could potentially be something that she wants to talk about, but I feel like that wouldn't be enough. Like, she would know that if Louis is gone, and especially if he's the leader of the Leo group, why bother him with talks of Beastar?
One of the last big scenes that they had together, though, was where she kind of tried to seduce him.
Yeah, she was doing power plays.
Right, I know. But that is, I think, the last scene they had together.
I think so. Yeah.
So this could be something where she's like, wait.
Oh, like
she wants to be Beastar, so...
Oh, damn. Alliance between Beastar and the kind leader of a criminal syndicate? I mean... Power couple.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be very curious. That would be very interesting. Yeah.
But other than that, this was a fantastic episode. We got a whole bunch of good stuff. And y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general. And also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.